Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up, government projects significant reduction in prices of petroleum products from next month due to the Gold for Oil program and cedi stability. We'll hear from the Deputy Energy Minister.
Expect that it will come down, consistent with the mechanism that goes into the pricing.
Meanwhile, Managing Director for Bulk Oil Storage for Transportation Company Limited reveals that 51 metric tons of petroleum products are expected under the Gold for Oil program next week.
In terms of the status of the incoming cargoes for February, we are expecting a total of 152,000 metric tons, made up of 80,000 gas oil and then 72,000 gasoline.
Plus, a group of 20 developed economies set to map out framework on debt cancellation requests from countries like Ghana. I am Beverly Broohm. Please stay for details. Let's settle for the details now. Government is projecting some significant reduction in prices of petroleum products from next month. This will be based on the impact of the Gold for Oil program and the continuous stability of the Ghana cedi. Deputy Minister for Energy Andrew Japamesa has been giving more details about factors that will influence the reduction on PM Express Business Edition.
They will come down, consistent with the mechanism that goes into the pricing. And I'm sure that you're very much aware that there are two components that determine the prices. The price of the commodity on the international market, obviously the premiums that are then slapped on it, which is the margins that the IOTs then generate, and of course the strength of our local currency. And so if you have a stable price on the global market, which is hovering around 74, 76 thereabout, and relatively stable cedi, then you're likely to see, because of the forward pricing, okay, because I'm sure you are very much aware that BDCs don't price the product today based on today's dollar. They price it forward, such that, for example, if the dollar were to be 10 cedi today, the 2-week window that is expected to sell their product, they predict that the dollar may get to 15. And so they sell the commodity to you and I at 15 cedi today, which obviously, if it gets there, then they are covered. If it doesn't get there, then I guess that it's a decent, mechanism that then did. But of course, that's why the regulator is there to ensure that the consumer is not excessively shortchanged, if you like. And so I expect that with the mechanics as evident today, the prices would come down within the range that is being forecasted. Yes.
That is 7 to 11 or?
Absolutely.
Well, Managing Director for Bulk Oil Storage for Transportation Company Limited, Bost Edwin Provençal, has been giving more details about the second consignment expected to arrive next week.
In terms of the status of the incoming cargoes for February, we are expecting a total of 152,000 metric tons, made up of 80,000 gas oil and then 72,000 gasoline. So they'll start coming in from the 19th, which is somewhere Sunday, till the end of the month. I can tell you on authority that we've had demand orders from 18 bulk distribution companies, totaling almost 140,000 metric tons. I am sure you have seen that since the first cargo came in till date, GOIL has reduced their prices from almost 15.75 to almost 14.90 for diesel. And that should tell you that going forward, Ghanaians who are not in a good place today will have some respite with respect to reduction of energy prices with its attendant benefit on the inflation. Since 1993, both have been importing petroleum products and into Ghana. That's the role we are playing. We haven't changed. In order to fix a macroeconomic problem called inflation, the government has decided to use its state agencies to help do that. And one of the levers to get that done is through the energy prices. And so government thinks that if we're able to bring in very competitive products, very competitively priced products into the market, it will help curb the suffering of our people. So BOST is doing what we have always been doing, albeit not in a large scale, but this one takes it to a large scale to help alleviate the suffering and plight of the good people of this country.
Well, member of the Alliance of Civil Society Organizations working on extractives, anti-corruption and good governance, Dr. Steve Manteo, is calling on government to ensure transparency and accountability of the Gold for Oil program. His major concern is on how government intends to finance the gold purchases on the local market.
It is good news that the volumes are increasing in respect of this transaction. And I will say that when a country goes into difficult situations, it's always good to innovate. But in innovating, you want to ensure efficiency. And one of the ways to ensure efficiency is through transparency and accountability. We've raised a number of concerns about this whole Gold for Oil deal. In some respects, there's been some responses in terms of further disclosures, in terms of the framework. There's been some disclosures in terms of how the petroleum products are going to be priced locally on the market and all that. But we still do not have responses to some of the first issues around the program. One is how the gold purchases are going to be financed by government. We've looked into the 2023 budget, and there's no provision in the budget in terms of where we raise the money to do the local gold purchases. We're not too sure if government is going to syndicate some loans as it does for gold purchases or whatever. We don't know. And I think it's important in the interest of transparency and accountability to come up clear about how we are financing the gold purchases on the local market. Two, how are we going to trade our gold? I mean, in terms of the, the buyer selection. Because we take the gold to the market and we want to sell it to raise either dollar equivalent of the gold or to trade the gold directly as barter in exchange for petroleum products. Either way, you still will have to value your gold. How are we going to price the gold? How are we going to value the gold? Is it going to be on the basis of spot price, or is it going to be futures, derivatives, whatever? It's important for government to come clear on the buyer selection criteria for our gold. We also need disclosure on this the supplier selection criteria in terms of who is selling the petroleum products to the country. Are we just going to walk into the market and buy straight from whoever we find, okay? Or are we going to do headhunting? Are we going to do a competitive bid process? Whatever. We need to be clear about that because they all have implications for the price of the commodity that we bring into the country. And again, the pricing policy, I think I've mentioned that. And so these are big issues that we think government needs to provide some answers to for us to be all clear in terms of what we are doing. Otherwise, the corruption risk associated with this particular transaction in its current form will come back to head high in terms of the benefits that make you do that in the long run.
Away from the Gold for Oil program, Ghana will soon have a fair idea about the necessary conditions associated with the cancellation of its debt by external bondholders. This is because the G20 developed countries today began meeting to work out the framework that will guide debt cancellation requests for countries like Ghana. Here's more in this report.
Today's meeting will work out standards, principles and definitions for how to restructure debts of distressed countries. The Paris Club of International Creditors will also be part of this meeting. The gathering is coming at a time that China, one of Ghana's biggest creditors, has joined a special committee established to look into Ghana's request for debt cancellation. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has told Joy Business that they are first looking at securing some commitment from these countries, and then Ghana will take its program to the IMF for approval by the end of the first quarter of this year.
The Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has described as unfortunate the decision by pensioners to picket at the premises of the Ministry of Finance, meeting the pensioners who are individual bondholders. Mr. Ofori-Atta said government was eventually going to agree to the terms of the pensioners to exempt them from the domestic debt exchange program. The Finance Minister yesterday announced in Parliament that individual pensioner bondholders have been exempted from the program. Here's Mr. Ofori-Atta.
I think it's unfortunate that we had to have retirees picketing really in a situation where ultimately it was a matter of personal choice to do, and it was voluntary and not coercive. So Doc, but I want to thank you for the engagement over this period, and we come in at the close of the debt exchange program to us sitting together, hoping that we'll continue to get your good advice going forward, help with the stability, peace and prosperity of the nation. These are very difficult times, and I think we all have to find a way to participate in re-anchoring our country to go forward.
Moving on, the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed that it will be engaging the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and other relevant stakeholders on how to address the earning inequality and its impact on the nation's development. This follows the launch of the 2022 report Earnings Inequality in the Public Sector, where it emerged that more than 80% of public sector workers earn less than 3,000 cedis monthly. Speaking on the AM show today, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna-Enim said his outfit in the coming days will be engaging all the stakeholders to help change the narrative.
As I indicated, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have that roundtable discussion. We're going to work closely with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Public Services Commission, and the TUC and the labor expert are coming on board to see how this is going to inform the restructuring of the single spine. The second thing that we're going to do immediately, which we started doing, is the measurement of labor productivity. As we speak, we are just about signing an agreement with the International Labour Organization. We even have a consultant in town so that we can begin to measure labor productivity. Then we do the alignment in the medium term. The Service is trying to push for a data revolution agenda, and that's going to be the basis of all the conversations that we are having. There's little that we can do on our side. As I indicated earlier on, we need full state commitment of all the ministries to provide us with the needed data. If we want to measure labor productivity, you need the input and the output across all the government MDAs, and then later move into the public sector. If we are able to get that, we can say that within 2-3 years, Ghana will start producing labor productivity indices on a regular basis.
You're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Beverly Broohm. We take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We take a look at some other stories now. Let's take a trip to the first cocoa processing company established in Ghana to produce premium and some of the best chocolates and cocoa products in the world. CPC holds the enviable position for producing some of the best chocolates sold in supermarkets across the world. In the following report, my colleague Emma Davis gives us a feel of how the company is working hard to increase its production.
Cocoa Processing Company Limited was established in 1965 by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The company has 3 factories, 2 cocoa factories and a confectionery factory. The company processes raw cocoa beans into semi-finished products like cocoa liquor, butter, natural or alkalized cake or powder, whilst the confectionery factory manufactures the chocolate bars, couverture, pebbles, among others. Sales and marketing manager for CPC, Nana Ajimai Ansong, shares how his outfit has managed to remain relevant all these years.
I want to use the occasion to thank all Ghanaians for supporting this brand. I always say that Ghana, our brand is cocoa, and so it's a production that we have developed over the years. Since 1965, and we have over the years continually developed this, managed by Ghanaians, owned by Ghanaians, and it will amaze you that this recipe that you see on the street as golden tree was developed by Ghanaians, and so it's a long history of efforts, hard work put together to make this brand what it has become today, and it is carefully crafted. And so it's not surprising that all Ghanaians, the first thing that comes into their mind when we talk about the best chocolate, premium chocolates, they will mention Golden Tree.
Every long-standing business thrives by evolving with trends. CPC joined the bandwagon when artisanal chocolates became trendy. Food Safety and Quality Systems Coordinator Thomas Asante explains the process of making artisanal chocolates.
In CPC, we have 2 types of chocolates, mainly. We have the bar chocolates, and we also have the artisanal chocolates. Okay. The artisanal chocolate is mainly done by, it's an artwork, mainly by hand. So everything is by hand, and the process starts from here. Now, before anything starts, they have the mass. They bring the mass, they temper the mass. So you can see our ladies tempering the mass. Unlike the other ones, which the tempering is done by a tempering machine. Okay. This one is mainly done by hand. So you can see the process. They will do this till they get a required temperature of about 28 degrees. So from here, they are going to refrigerate it. Okay. So you put it in the refrigerator, and the idea is to solidify it.
And that takes how long?
It will, by 30 minutes, it should be hardened so that you can remove it or demold it. We call it demolding. Okay. The process removing from the molds.
Okay. Mr. Anson expressed optimism about the future of Ghana's cocoa value chain.
In recent times, at a point in time, the company instituted some training programs to train young, youthful, upcoming chocolatiers, so that they will also learn how to make chocolates. As our CSR, or as our corporate social responsibility, to support the young ones, to help them create jobs for themselves. And so in the last 10 to 15 years, when we undertook this training, today we see a lot of them around. And so we see some new developments taking place within the industry. And we are seeing large-scale chocolate manufacturers, we are seeing medium-scale, and we are seeing small-scale chocolatiers. So the future looks interesting. The future seems to show that the industry is going to grow.
Cocoa is the 3rd largest income earner for the country. Investing in industrializing the sector would be a game changer in Ghana's economy.
Catch the full episode of Food Chain with my colleague Emma Davis tomorrow at 6 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Now, the Senior Advisor, Capacity Building and Stakeholder Engagement at the National African Continental Free Trade Area after Coordination Office, Jacob Jemfi Edu, says some businesses are yet to fully appreciate the need for a product to be registered and certified to take advantage of the African market under the AfTA agreement. Speaking at the regional conference on the implementation of the AfTA agreement in Sunyani, Mr. Jemfi Edu urged businesses to embrace the programs available that are meant to support them to improve to meet the required standard. Precious Semevo has more.
The Awareness Creation Conference for Ghana's implementation and policy framework on the African Continental Free Trade Area AfTA agreement in the Bono region is part of plans to help boost local businesses' trade in markets in Africa. The engagement, among others, was also an opportunity for stakeholders to gain a deeper understanding of the AfTA and its accompanying modalities for trading. Bono Regional Minister Justina Osu-Banahini, in her address, believes the conference will help address the challenges confronting the sector and enable businesses at the regional and local levels to position themselves and take advantage of the opportunities AfTA offers.
It is obvious that this meeting is indeed an important step towards realizing an Africa without borders in terms of trade, which will in turn lead to fluid development.
According to the National AfTA Coordination Office, some businesses still fall short of product requirements for trading under the AfTA agreement. Speaking to the media, Jacob Jemfi Edu, Senior Advisor, Capacity Building and Stakeholder Engagement, National AfTA Office, said they are supporting businesses to meet the standard.
I think that they haven't fully understood the need for a product to be registered, certified, to be able to be on the market. So we help them to go through the registration process to understand why it's necessary for you to register. We have set up desks in a lot of the organizations where we can point you to. If you are having challenges, go to this person, go to this office, they will help you. We do profiling of the organizations, of companies, see what their problems are, what their issues are, begin to link them to where they can get support. So that's what I mean by positioning. But the first thing is you deciding that you want to be part of it, be committed to it. There will be challenges, but there are systems in place to help you.
He also said measures are in place to help businesses adopt the right marketing strategy.
Part of the support we are giving is to help businesses to learn how best to market. To market, to package properly. You and I know sometimes, you see the packaging of some product, when you look at it, you won't look at it again. So all of that comes into the marketing process where you have a product packaged nicely and then you tell people about it. And that is where we start. If you can get a good base in Ghana, marketing it outside is easy. This is all part of the business development process, market development process that we are working on with a number of government organizations.
Precious Semevo, Joy Business, Sunyani.
And that's Business Live tonight. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Beverly Broohm. Enjoy the rest of our programs.